Hi guys, it's been a minute. Welcome to Lids Off. I'm your host, Bo Snow, and it's been a minute. The last episode was back in August, and it has been a minute. So let's get into it. The season that we just had left me all types of burnout, and I think that in part wasn't solely because the Bears won only a few games. But it was mainly because of quite a few contributing factors. And I think in part is because my expectations of what I want from football are changing as I'm getting older, I think. So I just wanted to congratulate the Shield Maidens, first and foremost, for finishing a first full season with a victory as well. Chaos for merging two teams, which is unheard of, and then going undefeated, as well as the Exiles and the Cheaters for coming second and third in the NWFL Sevens League. I will be cold dead in the ground before I call it developmental. So yeah, I think my mentality to football is changing. I think I'm getting a bit more competitive in my old age. And I think this off-season I really sat and assessed what I wanted from football. And in part, when I started this podcast, I sat with Jess and was like, I just want to have a good time. I'm not competitive. I just want to have football with pals. And in part, that is still true. But at the same time, I feel like I've still got a lot more to give physically. And I really want to be pushed in terms of this position that I'm in right now. So during the off season, part and parcel of what was quite healing for me was the Sealand community. So we played in the charity game, the Princess May Cup, which, by and part, I didn't play that well. I walked quite a lot of the time, and I was just really gauging myself and kind of getting to terms with nines and, what it's like playing with teammates that I'd not particularly played with before. And then the feedback that I got from the main coach from Sealand for D-line, Evan, was, I really took that on board and really went full send when it came to playing in Amsterdam, which personally was a phenomenal experience for me. I never thought I would get to a point where I would be able to play internationally. So to play in Amsterdam was phenomenal. Now I can only equate it to playing Madden with fantasy football. Well, 90% of my favourite players from the NWFL play on Sealand, and it's honest to God, playing against these big names and all these people that I respect and adore so much, and not just on defense but on offense as well, and just being able to share the same shirt of them and go on the pitch with them was just absolutely mind-blowing for me. And I really enjoyed the experience, socializing and getting to know people that I've always adored and respected outside of the game as well was just phenomenal. And if anybody is on the fence about joining Sealand, just don't hesitate, just join. It is absolutely out of this world. And I found playing in Amsterdam not only healing but refocusing, and I feel like my football brain has recalibrated quite a lot. So going from that, I was like, okay, I really want to attack the next season of football. I'm 34, I'm not getting any younger, and I really want to do everything I can in my power to be the best tight end / D lineman that I can be. So that started with Ren from the Shield Maidens offering out an invite for me to guest coach at their rookie day. it was just such a nice environment, and like I think the culture that they are trying to build at the Maidens is something I've not seen at other clubs before. Right from the get-go, like players are encouraged to integrate with each other. There's like challenges and tasks, and I mean, at the rookie day alone, they had Rachel Tumulty from the Teesside Steelers, you know, GB caliber players, just like right at the rookie day is just fucking out of this world. And really, Ren wanted to like encourage players to mix with players from other teams, and I think that is something that like is at the very core of what I believe in football. And you know, being able to have one-to-one conversations with people and really like refocus and encourage people from a coaching perspective and be valued for my like experience was really it's something I needed. So thank you again to Ren and the Shield Maidens for that. Now, another element that I've taken from how to improve as a player is that like 80% of the players that I know that are like astronomically good at football, they play mixed football, mixed contact. So I have joined the Rosendale Bucks. It like the guys are just so lovely and so welcoming, and they, believe me, they do not pull their fucking punches. Holy balls. So so I remember the first rookie day that I went to, it was, you know, it was padless and stuff like that, and it was just a one-to-one drill where you just had to get around the O-lineman. Now the O-lineman is like 6'4", built like a fucking O-lineman, and he sent me flying. But that's exactly what I signed up for, and it was fun, and I laughed, and he picked me back up again, and it's really important to me that I earn my place on the team. So I'm I'm really enjoying that journey and what that means. And training with men is really such a different environment to training with women. Like, it is very, very like well drilled, very well timed. You're never stopping, and conditioning and contact is like drilled into you from the get-go. So I'm really enjoying like that side of a different kind of environment to coaching that I've experienced previously. I will be attending GB trials. Now, let me go on record by saying I am under no impression at all that I'm going to get on GB. It is just for the coaching experience and being able to kind of learn from these players that are like, you know, miles and leagues above me, but also the coaching staff with all this wealth of experience that I can just absorb anything I can from the day. And just being around like players like that. So I am looking forward to that. So if you are going and you see me on the day, please come say hi. I'm sure I will be in a void of anxiety. But I know a couple of players that are already going already. So please come and say hi if you want to. And if you want to like come on the podcast, just come and say hi. Honestly, I'm such a Labrador. Like, I just want everyone to have a nice time. I'm also going to be attending the O-Line UK training camps. It's something I really wanted to do right from kind of me joining offense as kind of a tight end. Is that it's something I really want to work on is my blocking. So Kev's like won awards, and the branding is beautiful anyway. Like, I'm such a slut for merch, as you can tell. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Those two anyway. I am investing more in CrossFit. And really like I'm going to knuckle down. Learning the Olympic weightlifting movements is sensational. It's something I've always wanted to do, but because of my build, I've always just been encouraged to like go and do powerlifting instead. And please get me, there's nothing wrong with powerlifting, but I've always really loved and been drawn to Olympic weightlifting instead. So learning these complex movements, and then, you know, the cardio and finding out who I am under pressure, because I'm very quick to kind of take myself out of the take myself out of the lineup and even like discount myself before I've even started on stuff. I've already been like, oh no, I can't do it. Like, that's it. So with CrossFit, like, you learn a movement, you learn a discipline, and then you do it under exhaustion. And I'm really finding that, like, when I'm doing it, when I'm hitting it, I'm really finding out who I am and who I am under pressure, and I'm kind of liking that side of it, which I think is maybe part and part what is contributing to, you know, my more competitive side coming out of football as well. That being said, I am trying to actively, you know, like, manage my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome better. I'm using Visible, which kind of works a little bit like Whoop. So it monitors my heart rate, you know, factoring in the genetic condition I've got. And it kind of helps me kind of manage and pace my energy better. I will go into it a little bit more in a later episode maybe, but it kind of works on the same theory as spoon theory. Because at the moment all I'm doing is I'm going from one extreme to the other, so I'm just like essentially binging on my energy. So I'll go and do like the Rosendale training, or I'll do, you know, something really physically strenuous, and then I'm burnt out and I'm in pain and I'm having flare-ups to the point where I can't get out of bed, or, you know, I'm struggling to bend down to put my own socks on. And there's no in between. And so that, like, being able to physically monitor my heart rate and know what I'm doing and get those prompts, as well as I'm now being prescribed medical cannabis, but the gummies, not the actual weed, because I can't smoke, and smoke's gross anyway, in my opinion. So having the kind of CBD and the THC kind of manage my pain levels, because I'm already on like a substantial amount of medication. Like, I'm on tramadol, naproxen, blah 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 blah. Now, when I was at university, when my EDS started kicking off, it got to a point where I was on fentanyl, and I knew long term that wasn't viable for me, because part of my EDS is that I absorb analgesics and acclimatize to analgesics very, very fucking quickly. So I managed to weed myself down to tramadol, which I know people are like, weed yourself down, but, like, honestly, I don't get high from tramadol. So I used to be on, when I first came out of university and I was back on the tramadol, I was at a maximum dose. So I was on 250, 400. I was on 600 milligrams a day, and that kept me optimal. Like, I wasn't high, but I wasn't overly in pain, and I was able to function. And then just randomly, like, I can't even put a date to it, but my GP just went, oh, by the way, we're cutting this recommended dose in half. NHS has changed. We can't legally prescribe you this anymore. And my dose went from 600 to 200 a day. And being on tramadol for like, what was it, like 5 years, and just drastically cutting my dose in half, like, my flare-ups went through the roof. My memory got worse, my functionality and just being able to, like, live and exist as a human just went out the window. And I've been struggling ever since. So I started taking amitriptyline to kind of, like, cope with the nerve pain, but also with my, like, low mood as well. And that seems to have kind of brought it back a bit. But I've always, like, I'm at the mercy, because I've got PCOS as well, so I'm at the very mercy of my uterus. So when I'm halfway through my cycle, like my pain just spikes, and I disappear from the gym, I disappear from training, I disappear from everywhere because I cannot function because my period kills me that much. So what I'm finding now is, because I am on regular low dose cannabis at the same time, it's kind of negating the period somewhat, and with that I can be more consistent, and I can be healthier, and I can be more optimal at training. Now, I know quite a lot of you are like, you're on quite high medication, why the fuck are you doing a contact sport? I wish I could tell you the answer. Part and part, I love football. I love rugby union and rugby league. I just love contact sports. I love the space it gets me in when I am in the right space. And I love the community around it. And I know one day I am going to be wheelchair bound, and I know one day that my flare up is going to start and it's not going to end, and I'm very I've got to come to terms with that. But while I'm optimal and while I'm healthy, I want to make the absolute most of it, because I know what bad days feel like, and I know what good days feel like, and while I've got more good days than bad days, I want to make the most of it. So that, I'm fucking stupid. I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, like, you know. So, in regards to the podcast, I think I focus too much on getting guests on every episode. And as much as I would love this podcast to be a perpetual love letter to every single player in the NWFL, I think I was putting too much expectation on myself to be able to get the people in. And it's also quite a lot because, you know, we'd laugh and joke about Lids Off essentially being football therapy. But it's also quite a lot for both people, for me as the interviewer and for the people being the interviewee. To go from like a full day of work, or go from whatever they're doing, to sit down, to being recorded, and then it being edited, and there was quite a lot of expectation and quite a lot of organising. And while I'm simultaneously trying to manage my pain condition and my mental health at the same time as trying to organise this podcast, it just wasn't working, and thus the gap happened of 5 months happened. So I think I've just come to terms with the fact that sometimes it's just going to be me, and that's okay. Obviously, as the frequency and the consistency happens, I'm hoping that the players that want to come on, and different people that have input on the sport come on, then I won't have to worry about, you know, the regular chasing guests or whatever. I do have to say to the players that I messaged in August and was like, yeah, I'll have you on, and then ghosted them for 5 months, I am so sorry. Life just happens, and my brain. So yeah, I think that's everything for me. I think you're all up to date. Rookie days are starting up and down the country. I'm hoping you're all going to have an amazing Christmas break. And I hope you're all being kind to yourself. Thank you again for all the listens and all the follows and all the messages. It genuinely, I can't put into words like how much it feels, because I just want this podcast to just be the reflection of the community that I see, which is, you know, women and people genuinely just playing for a love of the game. So we're going to get some things wrong. Hopefully we'll get more things right in the podcast. You might see my wife a bit more. We might stray off into the NFL, even though the season is coming to an end. No, I don't want to talk about the Cowboys. That'll do. Fuck the Chiefs. And I think the Packers might win. I think the Packers might win the Super Bowl if they keep going the way they're going. I know people are, I guess, going, "Are you high?" But let's be realistic, okay? Josh Allen has never beat Patrick Mahomes in a postseason game because the Chiefs cheat. The Lions are more injured than they are healthy, and I don't know if they have the patience and discipline to beat the Packers in a postseason game. And then we go to the Ravens. Do they have the discipline? Because the Ravens beat themselves. For me, like, if it was down to me, it'd be the Lions or the Ravens. But is that going to happen? We don't know. So yeah, hopefully we'll get more players on. We might have some returning guests. Hopefully we'll talk about some different things. Regular content will be coming up. The next episode after this one, this mini episode, will be from Lauren from the Leicester Panthers. So thank you, Lauren, for agreeing to come on. We always appreciate an extremely young person with so much drive and focus coming on the podcast. So thank you again. And with that, I hope you all have an amazing, healthy holiday break. I hope you're all being kind to yourselves. Don't commit war crimes. Okay, love you, bye.